Well, hello, this is Janet Morana, the Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to End Abortion US. And you know what? In order to end abortion, you know what you have to do? You have to know the issue. You've got to know the pro-life movement. You have to know all the different facets. And the best way to do that is to read some good pro-life books. Well, joining me today is pro-life leader Frank Pavone, and we're going to talk about some of the latest books out there.
Oh, you know what? They are always coming. This is one of the reasons we wanted to do this episode. You know, we get them in advance. Some of these books we're going to talk about here, I've endorsed. Some of them I've written the foreword to. We always get advance notice from pro-life authors. Sometimes they ask us for our help in writing the book in the first place. And many times, because these are stories we've been personally involved in, these are all people we know. But the good news is that there are always new books coming out in the pro-life arena, on the pro-life side of the issue. And these are our treasures, and we want our audience to be the most well-educated audience on the issue of abortion. And not only about understanding abortion, but as you know, knowing and having the tools to witness to life. You know, these books will enrich their own conversations, their own social media posts, their own articles if they write something as well.
And we're not just telling them to do this. This is something we ourselves do.
All the time.
Our entire pastoral team, about every 4 to 6 weeks, we read a book and then we have a group discussion. So what I'd like to encourage everyone watching right now to do is as we talk about these books, jot the names down.
Yes.
And then think about your prayer group and your members of your family. Maybe start your own little pro-life book club among yourselves.
That would be awesome. And you know we have, of course, a page on our website, priestforlife.org/books. And we're going to have there everything we talk about on this program, plus a whole lot more. Now, the ones we're going to talk about today are relatively recent books. Some of them just came out months ago. So otherwise, over the last couple of years. But on that page, they'll also see books from many years ago. The fact that they were many years ago doesn't mean they necessarily lose their value.
No, because if you haven't read them, they're new to you.
Yeah.
Now, you have dear friend Abby Johnson.
Yes. I was just with her recently. We talk all the time. There's one. Let's start with this one. Life to the Full. The subtitle of this is True Stories That Reveal the Dignity of Every Human Life. Now, I wrote on the back cover, you'll see an endorsement from me, which says this: Christ told stories. Pregnancy centers and sidewalk counselors, too, share stories of how hope replaced despair. That is why you should not miss this book. Read it, share it, be part of the irreplaceable role of stories in advancing the culture of life. So, Janet, we know from our Silent No More campaign the power of stories.
Power of stories is very important.
And what Abby does is she puts together a bunch of stories here that are just beautiful. And she says, I want supporters of legal abortion to read these stories because it'll show how horrible abortion is and how passionate someone can become about defending life. So beautiful starter there from our friend Abby.
And then this
Life to the Full.
Okay, I like this one about fighting. What's that?
This is when we begin to fight. A family's battle against late-term abortion, academia, and miscarriage at home. Steve Carlin, and he's with 40 Days for Life. He's one of the leaders of 40 Days for Life. He asked me to write the foreword of this book, which I happily did. What I like about this book is an interesting combination of a personal journey. You see how this man and his family journeyed deeper into pro-life activism. He shows the struggles, the doubts, the efforts they made. And at the same time, you're learning a lot about late-term abortion and the battle against that, and especially, you know who also endorsed this book, by the way? Cardinal Burke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right on the cover here. I recommend Steve Carlin's testimonies. He calls it a testimony, and trust it will inspire many to become soldiers of life. And that's where you get the title. This is when we begin to fight. So again,
I think you said too, he fights the medical profession too, right?
Oh yeah, you'll see very, very powerful personal, like again, an interweaving of personal testimony with a rationale for pro-life activism. So Steve Carlin's book.
Well, and then talking about medical, I have here our dear friend, Dr. John Bruchalski, and he used to perform abortions. And it showed his journey from his faith got reignited And when it did, he said, I can't do this anymore. I can't kill babies anymore. And now, I mean, he's so pro-life. He works with the Tepeyac Association there, and he helps women with difficult pregnancies, get through those pregnancies, carry those babies to term. And it's a beautiful book. And it says, My Conversion from Abortion to Life-Affirming Medicine.
Two Patients.
Yes.
I like that title very much. He asked me to review the book as well.
Yeah.
And
Two Patients.
Because that's what it jarred him. In fact, he shows here how both his faith, and he's a practicing Catholic. He talks about the role of the Virgin Mary,
Our Lady of Guadalupe in particular.
La Guadalupe. So, but he also shows how God can speak through others, because one of his colleagues sort of pricked his conscience.
Yes.
You're dealing with two patients when you have a mother and an unborn child.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, powerful book.
And
Very readable.
Any doctor that is more pro-life sees the two patients.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so many in the medical profession just worry about the mother, and they forget about the baby.
Well,
but you can't separate them. You can't.
I have another book here that talks about the church. And of course, this is very much overlaps with what we do every day. A church. This is called Contenders, and it's by a very, very good colleague, Mark Newman, together with a forward by our friend Scott Klusendorf.
Oh,
so
wow.
the two of them work closely together. Contenders, the subtitle being A Church-Wide Strategy to Unmask Abortion, Defeat Its Advocates, Empower Christians, and Change the World. Is right up our alley, right up the alley of so many of you in our audience.
And of course, if they don't know who Scott Klusendorf is, he's very good with apologetics, pro-life apologetics.
This is the specialty of both of these men. And we admire their work greatly. And this is a book, again, that I would recommend, highly endorsed, and again, called Contenders.
And these are all on our website,
FruitForLife.org/books. Another book that came out not long ago by Ryan Anderson and Alexandra DeSanctis, both of whom have written beautifully about the abortion issue. And this really overlaps a lot with our Shockwaves campaign. It's called Tearing Us Apart: How Abortion Harms Everything and Solves Nothing. Don't you like that title?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, isn't this what we say? What we see in the Shockwaves campaign?
Well, we see how the death of the child, mother, father, grandparents, future siblings, friends, accomplices. I mean, it's just on and on.
Well, this is what I've always said. Abortion destroys everything it touches. Let me just read, to give you a taste of this, the chapter titles. Abortion harms the unborn child. Obviously, that's got to be the first chapter.
Yeah,
right?
you got to start there.
You're going to talk about the damage abortion does here. Well, who's the primary victim, right? But listen to these other chapters. Abortion harms women and the family. Abortion harms equality and choice. Abortion harms medicine. Abortion harms the rule of law. Abortion harms politics and the democratic process. And abortion harms media and popular culture. Now, we have commented extensively on these programs and elsewhere about all of those statements. It's so true. The fact that abortion harms medicine, in fact, was one of the motives that led Congress back in the mid-90s to pass the ban on partial birth abortion. And it also came up in the Dobbs cases as, hey, this turns a profession that's dedicated to preserving life into one that takes life.
That's right.
Excellent book, Tearing Us Apart. Ryan Anderson and Alexandra DeSanctis, highly recommend it. And finally, last but not least,
my newest book, Everything You Need to Know About Abortion for Teens, but I also say, and adults too.
Of course.
They're going to learn too.
No, we can always learn.
And in this book, I really start all the way back, and I give you a little bit of a history here. I talk about contraception, just facts now. In other words, in this book, it's not about religious beliefs, it's about scientific. When they say trust the science, that's what I do. I unpack the science for them.
Right.
And then, of course, I talk about from illegal to legal. How did we get here?
Right.
How did abortion? And I show that when you research all the way back to colonial days, most of the colonies had abortion outlawed. There were only two that did.
Got this from common law, yeah.
Common law, yeah. And of course, then meet the unborn child. I mean, that whole chapter. And then in the middle of this book, the latest pictures on that unborn child. It's like a little baby album here, starting at 7 weeks. Look at these baby pictures. Adorable, right? I mean, and I go through all the hard cases: rape, incest, life of the mother, fetal anomaly, the very reason they say abortion should remain legal. What if this and that. There's a full chapter, of course, on chastity, because you got to show these teens the right way is God's way. Stay chaste till marriage. Another whole chapter on how to answer all the arguments, but be on the offense, not always the defense. And then, of course, a full chapter on the pro-life movement, showing all the different groups and the focus of those groups, and then how you might want to get involved. So everything you need to know about abortion for teens, available at abortionandteens.com. And I personally autograph the books for you. So it's a great learning thing. I think first of all, every youth group, they should do this as a book club reading. They really should. And I have made an offer, for all these groups. If your group orders this book and they read it, I will do a free Zoom meeting with the kids, meet the author, after they've read the book, to answer Q&A. Because it's all about, if we educate our young people, they're not going to want to have an abortion if they understand the unborn child and then the damage abortion does. So it's, again, everything you need to know about abortion. Go to abortionandteens.com.
So, and for all these books, again, friends, priestforlife.org/books, priestforlife.org/books. These and many others. And I think once in a while on our programs, we'll do this again with some additional books.
Exactly.
Because they're always being written.
Well, you have to educate yourself if you're going to bring an end to abortion.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks once again for a great discussion. And remember, brothers and sisters, there are some abortions only you're going to be able to stop, and some lives only you be able to save. Join us again next time. Thank you, and God bless.